So yesterday on the channel, we of course talked about the Square Enix situation and how they're kind of restructuring the company, focusing less on exclusive games for certain platforms and going a bit more multi-platform. And I should have known better. I should have known better putting PS5 in the title, because that's going to bring out all the Sony ponies, all the PlayStation fanboys, because I saw it on Twitter. I saw it in the comment section. Well, RGT, wait just a doggone minute. They didn't say that it was PlayStation games that underperformed. It could have been Nintendo Switch, because they had more exclusives for Nintendo Switch than they did PlayStation. Yeah, because Harvestella, that had a really big budget, didn't it? That was a huge AAA game. No, I don't lead you people astray. And this morning, we got confirmation that RGT once again was right. We're going to talk about the latest with Square Enix, how the PlayStation 5 games underperformed, what the fallout is from this situation, how it's impacting Sony, because there's a lot to unpack here. Subscribe if you are new to the channel. So Bloomberg did an article that Mochizuki hit the highlight points of. So shoutouts to Mochizuki. It's his article. He works for Bloomberg, so don't get mad at me for reading this. Square Enix said Final Fantasy 16 sales fell short of expectations. Initial momentum was in line with expectations, but the games failed to reach fiscal year goal as its momentum slowed. No update since from sales number last announced at 3 million. Final Fantasy 16 sales fell short of expectations. Let's just continue on. We're not gonna hark on that too much because there's so much more to read. Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth sales fell short of expectations. Initial momentum didn't reach an internal target. No sales number to share. So we don't even know. We don't even know what's going on with this. Because if Rebirth was doing so great, I feel like you would hear some sales figures. Companies love to talk about sales figures when things are going great. They love to toot their own horn, to S their own D, which Spawnwave is the king of that. Like, good lord. But, they love to S their own D. They love to just, put themselves on a higher pedestal and stuff like that. And it's like, bro, if your accomplishments were so good, the numbers, the data should speak for itself. So Rebirth fell short of expectations. Final Fantasy 16 fell short of expectations. Now, call me crazy, but I think those two games are on the same platform. Foam Stars fell short of expectations. Initial momentum didn't reach an internal target. No sales number to share. So Final Fantasy 16, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, and Foam Stars. Were those the Nintendo Switch games? Were those on Xbox? Were those on other No. Stupid. They were on PlayStation 5. It was the PlayStation 5 games that did not meet internal metrics. Now, what were these metrics? That's kind of a bit of a caveat. We don't truly know what Square Enix was expecting from these games. However, looking at the size and the scope of these games, the amount of time that it took to create these games, considering the fact that these are huge IPs for Square Enix, a brand new numbered entry with Final Fantasy 16, a brand new version of Final Fantasy 7 where Remake did very well. Granted, it came out on a system with a larger, user base of people, but Rebirth didn't hit those marks on the PlayStation 5. Foam Stars probably should have never been made. Remains confident that Final Fantasy 16 can achieve its goal over the original 18-month sales plan. Also, sales of Rebirth and Foam Stars aren't necessarily bad. Right, they're not necessarily bad. And nobody's saying that they're bad. 3 million sold with Final Fantasy 16. Let's say that Rebirth is at, 3 to 5 million, and I'm being a bit generous there, but let's say it's at that. That's not bad. Okay, that's not bad, but when you factor in the impact that these games were supposed to have, when you factor in at least Final Fantasy 16 and Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, the fact that these were supposed to grow the company, I don't think Foam Stars was ever going to grow the company, but these two games were supposed to help grow Square Enix into a larger plateau. They're obviously not doing as well as they thought. Reorganized development team into 5 console teams, 1 smartphone game team. Has been relied too much on individuals' creativity. Will promote sharing game making how among teams and will seek best balance. Is this translated? Because that game making how among teams. Okay, whatever. I'm not going to read that. Dragon Quest 12 remains under development. Investors react. Sell shares heavily. Stock fell to the day's trading limits. Concerns our pipelines have become too empty. No big titles that can lift up the company's top line over the next couple of years. Because, let's go back to this part. Final Fantasy 16, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. These were supposed to be the games, but they didn't do it. I'm not saying the PlayStation 5 is a failure or anything like that. I'm just saying that these games were supposed to do better than they were going to do, and then they didn't. You know, if you look at PS5 system sales, they are down a good bit year over year. We just got Sony's financial report. They also announced a new two-headed CEO with PlayStation. I didn't find it interesting enough to make a whole video about it, but Herman Holst is one of them, and so I guess we're stuck with more Horizon. But what are we gonna do in this situation? You know, we're Square Enix. You know, what are we gonna do? Oh, you know what we're gonna do. Report, Square Enix to lay off workers in European and American divisions. Now that's funny. That right there tells you everything, because people love to pull up that Iwata quote. Oh, Iwata took a pay cut, this, that, or the other. It's because in Japan, you have to do things like that. If you are a president or a CEO of a company, that's one of the 3 things that you have to do before you lay people off. Notice, they're not laying off any people in Square Enix in Japan, just European and American divisions. Wonder why that is, because labor laws aren't as good there. So, they were informed during an internal meeting on Monday. According to those in attendance, Square Enix president Takashi Kiru? Yeah, I'm going to say that. Said teams in America and Europe would be affected over the next month. Mainly its publishing, IT, and indie divisions. That's such a damn shame. That how, like, these indie companies, they team up with these bigger companies thinking it's their own, you know, sort of big break, and then they get screwed up. They're like the first people on the chopping block. The people that are being original, the people that are being creative, the people that are trying to do something a little bit different end up being the first person or the first company on the chopping block. This will involve rebuilding its overseas businesses divisions from the ground up and structural reforms to optimize costs at its American and European offices. Wow. They failed to live up to profit expectations, especially outsourced titles and some AAA titles. So this is not good. Okay? None of this is good. It just goes to show you. And that, wait, hold on a second. This Shriner's kid, he always gets money out of me. I'm not giving you money today, Shriner's kid. But this just shows you the problem with video games right now. Gaming is fun. Gaming's fine. What are you talking? Look at the gross sales. They're higher than ever. Are you stupid? You shouldn't be, because you watch me. You watch my videos. You watch towards the end of my videos. You should be well informed about this. Development costs are too high. AAA games are not sustainable anymore. This isn't the PS2 or even PS3 era where you could take risks, where you could have fun, where you could create your own individual games, and you didn't need to sell 5 to 10 million copies in order to turn a profit. You sold 500,000, you were popping bottles at the office place because development costs were nowhere near what they are nowadays. There's no middle ground games anymore, no middleware stuff really anymore like we used to see during those eras where you could take a risk on a smaller game and then hope that it turns into profit so that you could translate that into something bigger, a bigger production value. It's not going to get better, people. The AAA thing that we've created is no longer sustainable. It's not. You know, and the quicker you realize that, I think the quicker the future of gaming will be easier for you to digest. You even have Nintendo saying that game development is going to take longer with this jump to 4K because you have the whole fact that there's going to be higher visual fidelity. People are going to be noticing things in Nintendo games that maybe they didn't notice before. You have stronger hardware. We've gotten to the point of where it's like, I don't get it, dude. I still play so many, you know, you upscale PS2 games, they still look great. You play PS3 games, a lot of them still look great. Yeah, you don't get the stupid ray tracing. You don't get dynamic lighting and dynamic shadows and shit like that. But who cares? The games are still quality. They still look good. They're still fun. That's why you get all these remakes and remasters. Square Enix is learning that right now. Square Enix is learning that these big AAA, you know, RPGs dedicated to one system, which just happened to be the PlayStation 5 here, aren't the way to go anymore. Unless Sony is paying, unless Sony's giving you money to do it, to make it exclusive on there. Why is Final Fantasy VII Remake not on Xbox? Like, I know. It's not going to sell a lot on Xbox. But why not? Why not try it at this point? That game is so old. It was a PS4 game. Why not try it? It's not hard to port games over. They have the same freaking architecture, essentially. It's not hard. But these are times we're in. You thought we were getting into the meat and potatoes of this upcoming generation? Hell no. Hell no. Hell no. Xbox is in peril. Sony says there's no games this year. Console sales are down. Square Enix is burning to the ground. Nintendo's trying to launch a new system. Bro, this industry is fucked. I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.